Wade and Wade reacts.
We're about to check out this Kakarot's breakdown. The commenter asked us to look at the exam system and the Hades system. But since he asked for both of them, we're going to put it in one video. So let's get into it.
Hey everyone, Kakarot197 again. This time with a two-parter on piloting support systems. Originally, I was going to make just one video, but the history of the exam system and associated machines alone turned out to be too much to cram into one video along with all of the other systems. So in this first video, we'll be having a look at the complete history of the exam system. Warning, because of the nature of this video, it does contain spoilers for the Blue Destiny story. While most of the Principality of Zeon seemed to be in favor of new types, especially when it came to the military, this wasn't the case for everyone. One such person was Dr. Klust Moses. As an old type himself, he was afraid that eventually new types would rule over old types, so he set out to create a system that would allow old types to perform on par with them. However, this would be easier said than done, and ironically enough, a new type would be required to help with the creation of this system. He managed to recruit Marion Welch from the Zeon New Type Research Center, the Flanagan Institute, under the guise that he was conducting research that would help end the war. She was more than happy to help with Dr. Klust's seemingly noble goal, but his deceit would cost her dearly. During the early development of the system, an accident occurred that trapped her soul in the system. Whether this was truly an unfortunate accident or deliberately planned by Klust is unknown, but it turned out to be
Some of the
exactly
Gundam
what was
technology
needed
is
for the
just
exam
magic.
system to perform its intended tasks. While it's easy to think that exam-equipped units have a higher performance, just because of the exam system, this wasn't necessarily so. The system increases the senses of the pilot to new type levels, allowing for much faster reaction times, allowing the pilot to push the machine to the limit. However, this would come at a price. Because the machine mainly relied on Marion's trapped soul, it was highly unpredictable and also prone to going berserk. While active, the optical sensors of the mobile suit were turned crimson red, and some sources also show a crimson haze being emitted from the mobile suit.
So there's no duplicating that system either, man.
Because the exam system
Nope. So the system is only in one mobile suit, and that's it.
Would allow an old type to control new type only weaponry such as bits or funnels. Despite all of these drawbacks, the positives were enough for the system to be installed into 5 known units.
Okay.
The first one was Zeon's Afreed Custom, piloted by Nimbus Sturzen. The machine was a heavily customized version of the Afreed, a machine intended for mass production but abandoned in favor of the Dom. This Afreed featured a double grenade launcher on each arm, 2 heat swords,
Yeah, the custom is cold.
new shoulder armor, and additional boosters, armor, and missile launchers on the legs. After its completion, Dr. Klust defected to the Federation and took the exam system along with him. No official reason was ever given, but a potential one is that he realized that the war was turning in the Federation's favor and that he was afraid to be judged as a war criminal for his inhuman research. On the Federation side, the project was placed under the supervision of Captain Alf Kamra, an engineering officer who also took part in the development of the Jim ground type. Most likely because of this, the system would first be installed into
He looks like a mad
ground
scientist.
type dubbed the Blue Destiny Unit 0. The machine was used to test out the mobility that would be granted by using the exam system, and also allowed the Federation to gather information on its enhanced power output and the cooling required for it. Unfortunately, the results were deemed unsatisfactory by the Federation, and it was decided to move from a Jim frame to a Gundam frame instead. In order to save development time, the head containing the exam system was transplanted as is, resulting in the now famous Blue Destiny Unit 1.
Oh, okay. I thought it started off with
Several
Blue
test
Destiny.
pilots tried to master Unit 1, but there was another unexpected side effect. The trapped soul of Marion would try to reach out to the pilots and ask them to help set her free. Combined with the already strenuous
So this is
nature of
basically the
exam
Phoenix
system,
before the
this
Phoenix.
proved to be too much
Yeah,
for
that's what it
the
looks like.
pilots to handle.
Definitely.
モーゼス博士、カムラ技術隊 BD1 回収成功。パイロットはダメでした。
Finally, test pilot and Loom veteran Yu Kajima not only managed to bear with Marion's calls, but he also responded to her and vowed to help her. In order to save her, you had to destroy all of the exam systems, meaning that you would have to take out the Freed Custom with Unit 1, the latter being affectionately referred to as Blue. Other than superficial changes such as a new backpack, extra verniers, extra cooling, slightly different armor, double chest Vulcans, and double wire-guided missile launchers, Blue also featured an upgraded power generator and magnetic coating, granting the machine superb maneuverability. However, one important thing about the magnetic coating is that it was most likely either a last-minute addition, something that was added after it was already in active use, or something that was applied at about the same time as the RX-78-3, the unit that was supposedly the first testbed for the magnetic coating. While it is not known exactly when the RX-78-3 was completed, the wide base, along with the spare parts that would eventually become the G3, arrived at Joguro on November 27th, with the Battle of Joguro itself taking place on November 30th. Whereas Unit 1 reportedly began field operations around December 10th, leaving very little, or maybe even no time, between the G3's magnetic coating test and the deployment of Unit 1. Over its service life,
So they don't even know if it works.
One upgrade in the form
That's
of
what it
limiter
sounds
developed by Alf Kamra. This would reduce the system's effectiveness, but also reduce the chances of the machine going berserk.
Okay, then so we made some much needed improvements.
やめてください冗談が過ぎるぜユウもう終わったよ敵はいねえすまない
You eventually managed to take out the Freed Custom at the cost of Unit 1 also being destroyed. Unfortunately for Marion, 2 more Blue Destiny units were completed. Named Unit 2 and Unit 3 respectively, both units were virtually identical, with the only differences being the color scheme and Unit 2 not adapting Unit 1's exam limiter. Both units were also very similar to Unit 1, but they now sported the iconic Gundam head and a backpack that also allowed them to operate in space. Unit 3
That's
was
pretty cool.
originally meant as a spare machine for the 2 Comet units, Unit 1 and 2, but in a twist of fate, a group of Zeon commandos along with Nimbus launched an attack on the base where both units were stationed, and Nimbus managed to steal Unit 2. This meant that Unit 3 had to be pushed into service as is with you behind the wheel. Because of this, there was simply no time to paint Unit 3 in the same blue colors as its sister
Oh,
unit.
that's a shame. Because that blue is what makes it the blue Destiny
During the
to me.
assault, Nimbus also accomplished his other goal, killing Dr. Klust, preventing him from making any more exam systems. While it might sound like he was trying to help Marion, this couldn't be further from the truth. His reasons were purely that he believed that he was the only one worthy of using the exam system.
Man.
Again, you and Nimbus would have a 1 versus 1 face-off. This time in space, and this time only you survived. With both Units 2 and 3 destroyed, you drifted in space.
No more blue Destiny
Picked up
then,
by
because
his
of
team and
his
safely
stupidity.
made it back to his mothership. As for Marion,
Supposed to get rid of it
there are 2
anyway.
endings. Most media, including the original game, have her awakened from her coma, but in some renditions of the Blue Destiny story, saving her soul simply meant that she could finally move on to the afterlife. Hey everyone, Kakarot197 again. This time with a history of the Hades system and the units and people associated with it. Seeing the success of the exam units, the Augusta Research Lab, which would later on become known as the Augusta New Type Lab, requested all of Klust Moses' data. This resulted in the Hyper Animosity Detect Estimate System, or Hades for short. It should come as no surprise that it was very similar to the exam unit. It was hinted that the system would increase the overall performance of the suit, but just as with the exam unit, this was most likely thanks to the reduction of the pilot's reaction speed, which was achieved by forcibly speeding up the neurotransmissions in the pilot's brain. Despite being effective, the side effect was gradual memory loss. While remaining controversial, probably in part due to the exam system.
Yeah, I knew it had some type of
it was mounted
mental
in the head of the
drawbacks.
most powerful mass production unit available at the time, the Pale Rider.
I was wondering who would win between the Pale Rider and the Blue Destiny.
As base,
That's a really good. I would love to see that matchup.
4 and 5. All of this also caused the price to skyrocket, resulting in only 4 units being made before mass production plans were dropped. When the Hades system activated, the mobile suit's optical sensors would turn red and the exhausts orange. Again, similar to the exam system, the Hades system was prone to going berserk, and activating by itself in order
For
to
what,
fight
though?
off any perceived threats, whether friend or foe. In order to deal with this, the Augusta Research Lab created what could be considered the first cyber new type, Chloe Croce. This 15-year-old girl was a war orphan, and the Research Institute had become a second home to her, where she had food and a warm bed. One day, after a certain inspection, this changed. She noticed that her head felt heavy and that she was forced to take a disgusting medicine. She also noticed that she would slowly begin to forget things. There was only one certainty remaining. She wanted to become stronger, together with the mobile suit that she was assigned to, Pale Rider Unit 1. In fact, the only time that she really felt free was when she was inside the cockpit of the Pale Rider. Little did she know that it was exactly this mobile suit, along with the Hades system installed in it, that was causing her all of this discomfort. Rather than having new type abilities implanted, which the Federation knew little to nothing about at the time, her brain was strengthened in order to better deal with the Hades system and the memory loss that it caused. Despite this, most of the problems persisted. Still, one can only imagine what kind of effects this would have had on a normal human being. Throughout the war, Chloe and the Pale Rider would sortie alone on multiple occasions, and most notably participated in the Battle of Jaburo and the Bawaku. During the Battle of Jaburo, it went berserk and engaged both the Federation's Slave Wraith unit and Zeon's Mercosius unit, resulting in a confusing three-way battle. A battle with ulterior motives that at that point in time, neither unit had any idea of. Then, at the Battle of Abawaku, it only faced the Mercosius unit, but they were bent on taking out this dangerous and unpredictable unit. In the end, only an incapacitated Pale Rider and Mercosius' Vincent Gleisner remained. Wanting to take revenge for his fallen comrades, he flew over to the Pale Rider's cockpit, gun in hand, only to realize that the enemy pilot was a confused little girl.
They're always using kids to
I
do their
know.
dirty work.
That's super shameful.
小さな女の子なんだよこれなんなんだよ
This was yet another side effect of the Hades system, cognitive impairment. After this, Vincent managed to get the access along with Chloe and the Pale Rider. While he was never able to completely forgive her for the annihilation of the Mercosius unit, love did blossom between the two.
What?
During this time, the Pale Rider was upgraded to
Hopefully
the
he was a
Totus
teenager too.
The unit now featured
That's
a
what I'm
movable
saying.
frame and more modern weaponry. Most notably, it used the Gazome's Hyper Knuckle Buster beam cannon and the Bao's shield. As for remote weapons, it used a combination of the income system, based on that of the Doben Wolf, and the tri-blades of the Dryson, with the Hades system being responsible for their movements. While these weapons looked like new type weaponry, they were actually only simulating it. This might suggest that the Hades system and its pilot were unable to simulate true new type abilities as opposed to the abilities of later cyber new types. Both Vincent and Chloe managed to survive the first Neo-Zeon War and joined Char's rebellion. They would mainly be fighting against remnants of Glemmy's faction, and as fate would have it, a former comrade of Vincent, Anarose, was amongst them. Still angry over the loss of the Mercosius unit almost a decade earlier, Anarose in her Red Queen Mantha engaged Chloe and the Totus Ritter. Vincent tried to stop them, but to no avail. The two units eventually took each other out. But
They must have
thankfully,
taken place in
their
the game,
escape pods
right?
did their
Yeah.
job. Vincent picked them up, and they all managed to escape.
Good thing they use those
After
escape
the war,
pods.
they established a bistro, and Vincent and Chloe even got a child together. Everything was looking up for them. But this beautiful relationship wasn't meant to last long.
No, it
One of
wasn't.
the
This
side
was
effects
Gundam.
of making Chloe's brains more resilient to the Hades
I thought they
system
lived happily
was
ever
a
after.
shortened lifespan.
Oh.
Now we go back in time to briefly cover what happened to the other three Pale Rider units. Pale Rider Unit 2, also known as the Pale Rider Cavalry, cut corners by removing weapon hardpoints and therefore also reducing the cost of the unit. To compensate for this, it was equipped with the Shekinah Combined Beam Launcher,
The heck is
a
that?
giant beam rifle with several sub-weapons
Never heard
such
of
as a Gatling gun and various missile launchers.
Wow.
One very important feature was the Hades limiter. While this of course
Definitely
lowered the
looks
performance of
powerful.
the system, it also decreased the negative impact of the system on the pilot. Pale Rider Unit 3, also known as the Pale Rider Dullahan, also omitted weapon hardpoints and this time also the Hades system altogether. Another striking change that sets it apart from its sister units is the usage of parts from the original Gundam
All those
trio,
weapons look super heavy.
1, 2, and
They do.
3, rather than parts from the RX-78 4 and 5. This gave Unit 3 a very distinct look. Pale Rider Unit 4, also known as Pale Rider D2, was officially a variant of the Dullahan. Unlike the Dullahan, however, this unit again used parts from the RX-78 4 and 5, making it more visually similar to Pale Rider Units 1 and 2. In fact, it even used the same weapons as Unit 2. In UC-0084, it was pushed into service by the Titans after upgrading its sensors and also installing a linear seat. And that is all for this video on the Hades system.
After looking at the exam and the Hades, none of these systems are worth it because the exam can turn on you. Then the Hades can too, but it also affects the pilot. You can lose your memory. I'm not trying to lose my memory piloting any of those suits. And I would just rather be just an average mobile suit operator if I didn't have new type abilities.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be in a suit that gives you, through technology, new type abilities, especially with those drawbacks. I don't want to go crazy. And like you said, I don't want to lose my memory for the sake of operating as a new type in my armor. These systems would be perfect for old types if they didn't have these drawbacks. For real though, the Hades system seems exactly the same as the exam system with only slight differences, but they work in similar ways and even the suits are similar colors.
Yeah, the new types seem to be the ultimate weapon. Like it's really no stopping them because of the precognition ability that they have. They can perceive things before they happen. So to the fans, are there any characters in the Gundam franchise that were just so good? They were old types, but they were just so good that they could be the new type.
It seems like being an old type and coming against a new type is like being a stormtrooper going up against Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, you pretty much finished.
Now, was the guy who operated the Stark Jigen a new type in Unicorn?
We don't really know much about him. He could have been, or he could have been a regular character. They didn't really give us a backstory. He was just a good fighter character. Well, I won't even call him fighter because he put up a good fight.
Yeah, he put up a really good fight. Matter of fact, he had that green suit. I forget the name of it, but he had it on the back foot.
Yeah, we just know that he's a veteran of the 1 Year's War. That's about it.
Yeah, we got to get more info on him. If they haven't expanded the story yet, they got to get to it. That does it for our reaction to this subscriber request. Let us know which of these systems you would operate, the Hades or the exam. Also, like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so that you'll never miss a video from Wade and Wade Reacts.
Right there.
Peace.